Hello and welcome everyone. Today I wanna show you yet another build of mine. This is a Vitality Doombolt Sentinel, and it doesn't focus around the Sentinel set, which was like Void Soul set, right? The new one. This is just a transmog. The real gear is this. So the real gear is Covenant of 3, the Condemnation, Rift Warp Grasp, and Codex of Violent Rifts. Those four are like the core of this build. And this is what makes this build do what it is supposed to do. Anyways, as always, let's first start off with the skill allocation before we talk about the gear. So we are a occultist and a oathkeeper, right? And our main ability is Doombolt, obviously. So Doombolt, in this case, will have 100% conversion from Chaos to Vitality, so this will be a pure Doombolt character. And also, we managed to put down the cooldown to 1.1 seconds, so you can spam this every 1.1 seconds. And, well, because it's our main ability, obviously we try to overcap this as hard as possible. And that's also, well, we can do that because of our gear. So we have this at 22 out of 12 points, the maximum amount of points that you can have a skill at. And yeah, that's great. Now, we have possession as well at 22 out of 12, this is our exclusive. I will talk a little bit more about this later, why I chose possession and not path of the 3, because some of you might be wondering why did I not choose path of the 3 instead, right? But yeah, this one gives us 20% absorption, flat chaos damage, which we don't really care about, but like percent chaos damage, chaos resistance, and skill disruption protection. Then we have like Solar Witchfire and Second Right. These are just one-pointers, and Second Right is honestly mostly just for the 15% vitality resistance. For one pointer, that's pretty good, I would say, pretty good value. 15 resistance for 1 point, and Solar's Witchfire is there to mainly just get this, but also it gives me at least 43% vitality damage and 43% vitality decay, so that's also not too bad, right? It's fine. Then we have like the 3 like occultists all around debuffs and buffs, right? So these 3 are super good, debuffs / buffs. First off, we have Bloody Pox. This is just a one-pointer to enable wasting. Now, wasting is the real debuff here. This one has a debuff of minus 255 OA. So that's very nice, a very nice defensive debuff for my character. Or like, it debuffs the enemies, obviously, and my character basically gets more effective defensive ability because of that. So enemies will have a smaller chance to hit me or crit me, but I guess nothing should be able to crit this character, to be honest. And also it deals like a little bit of vitality damage, so that's like nice AoE to have, but it's like a small amount of side damage, that's not really worth noting that much. Then we have Curse of Frailty, this is just a one-pointer here as well, and then we have Vulnerability out of, like, hard capped at 18 out of 10 here in this case. This also debuffs enemies, reduces their DA by 115, and reduces their vitality resistance by 38%. That's just a must-have for any like vitality occultist in general, I would say. So yeah, this is a very nice, and that's like so easy to cast, right? It's just such a good spell. Then we have Blooded Reek here. This is our main heal, and also gives us offensive ability and like health regeneration. So that's also pretty nice. Then there's also Aspect of the Guardian. This one gives me 100% poison resistance and 12% physical resistance. And also a little bit of percent damage as well, like 72% vitality damage. That's not too bad, that's fine. But yeah, this is also super good. And you could maybe like even overcap this now a little bit, because they buffed it a little bit. Like you get more physical resistance from overcapping this, I believe. But 12 out of 12, like the soft cap is probably still like the best. And only if you have like really way too many points to give away, you can like put more points here. Anyways, let's move over to the Oathkeeper, which is our supportive mastery in this case. And since we only use this as our main ability, right, we're not looking for anything special here except for like buffs, circuit breakers, and resistance reduction, right? So first off, we have the Presence of Virtue. This is like the toggleable aura that every Oathkeeper should use, at least. Yeah, that should just use on every character, period, that is an Oathkeeper. We have Presence of Virtue here. We could soft cap this only, but I had some spare points, so I hard cap this actually in this case. This gives me 149 offensive ability, and well, a bunch of other stats which don't really matter that much. Most importantly, actually, energy regeneration for this build. Then we have Haven. I do like Haven at either 3 or at 5 out of 10 for non-shield builds as well, because of the percent HP. I don't like putting more than 5 points here, because like after 5 out of 10, every point only gives you 1% HP, and 1% HP for 1 point is actually not that good. Before that, it gives you like 2%, and like I think the first 3 nodes give you even more, like they give you like 3%, and the first one like probably even more. So yeah, having this at either 3 or 5 out of 10 is like best value in my opinion. And then we have 1 point into Rebuke, because why not, like 1 point or 3 points is fine-ish, and I mean, we don't really get that much from this, but we do get resistance to life reduction, I guess, which is kind of whatever. But more importantly, we get the reflect damage reduction, so whenever we're hitting a mob that has reflect on, we take 11% less reflect damage. That's, I mean, that's not amazing, but it's fine for 1 point, I guess. But yeah, you could probably even skip this if you want to. We have Resilience as well. This is Oathkeeper's Circuit Breaker. It's super good, and you should have this at least at 5 out of 12 on any Oathkeeper, unless you're like super point starved and can only 1 point it. Then like the other good points, or like good points to have this at, are 11 out of 12 and 14 out of 12. Well, you might ask why not 10 out of 12, because this kind of has similar breaking points as Shield, like Blast Shield from Demo, right? Blast Shield you take either 5 out of 10, or like 5 out of 12, 10 out of 12, or 14 out of 12 usually, to get like the +1 max auras. The thing is, 11 out of 12 gives you like 1% more DA and 1% more physical resistance for just 1 point, but that's amazing. If you have like way more points to spare, you can push this all the way up to 14 out of 12 to get like 1 more plus max auras when this procs, but I don't really think that's worth it, at least not on this build. So yeah, I have this on 11 out of 12, which is probably, out of the 3 value points I just told you, it's probably the best one actually. Then we have Ascension at 14 out of 12. I mean, this is so like as high as possible. Ascension is our flat damage absorption. It's still super good, even though it got nerfed like once. But we have quite some CDR, and also actually using the Hourglass Devotion here to reset, like to reduce cooldowns as well. So Ascension is really good on this character, and yeah, flat absorption is still like one of the best ways to mitigate damage. So hard cap this. And then we have Clarity of Purpose soft capped. I mean, this gives us 15% OA now for the soft cap. I mean, it always did that, but like putting more points than 12 was kinda not really worth it. You can see the next level only giving me +1 to the CC resistances, and that's it. They did buff the OA that you gain from overcapping a little bit though. Like I think you get like 1% OA every 2 points that you overcap now, instead of every 3 points only. So you could also try to overcap this to, for example, 14 out of 12 if you want like 1% more OA. But I think it's still like super expensive, and it's probably still best at just 12 out of 12. So I keep this at 12 out of 12 for now. Now, I have 2 more spells to talk about here. There's Judgment. This is probably the second most damaging ability I'm using on this character, because we're actually converting all the physical to vitality because of our offhand. So this one deals flat vitality damage and and vitality decay over 2 seconds as well. And also the radius is pretty nice. So this is like AoE against trash, but also it's there for Crushing Verdict, and Crushing Verdict is there to debuff enemy DA against, well, any kinds of heroes, elites, bosses, whatever, nemesis, you name it. And Crushing Verdict is insane and reduces target's enemy DA by a flat amount of 236 at the soft cap here. You could honestly also put more points here if you wanted to. It's probably better to put more points here than, say, putting more points into Haven, or more points into Clarity of Purpose, or more points into Aspect of the Guardian, to be honest. But I think soft cap is pretty nice for this character now. I don't know, like maybe I could also take some points from Judgment and put them over here instead. I'm running this right now because I think I was pretty comfortable with this setup for now. Then the last ability or like spawn I'm using here is the Summon the Guardian of Empyrean. So it's just a 1 point here, and then max out this one for the resistance reduction, the Celestial Presence. We have this as 17 out of 12, and because of this transmitter, which transmutes physical damage to vitality and fire to acid, and on top of that also transmutates the resistance reduction, we actually have 40% vitality resistance here. So yeah, that's great as well. And that's gonna be it for the skills. Yeah, checking out the gear, what really enables this build are the Mythical Damnation, Violent Rift, Codex, Rift Warp Grasp, and Covenant of the Three. So, Damnation does what? Damnation converts your Chaos damage on Doombolt to Vitality, and also adds a bunch of Vitality flat damage on top of that. Also, it has like a bunch of other stats which don't really fit this type of build that well. Like the other things that this one has is more about like flat damage and attack speed, which kinda makes you wonder why would you choose this in a build like this. But it's still way better than, say, Clairvoyant Wand, even though this doesn't have the 0.5 seconds skill recharge to Doombolt that Clairvoyant Wand has, because of the conversion that you have from Chaos to Vitality here. Then the next one, Covenant of the Three. This one is, well, insane for Sentinels that are using Doombolt. You have +2 Doombolt, +1 Oathkeeper, +1 Occultist, and -1 second skill recharge to Doombolt. On top of that, I got 4% armor on my craft. I got kinda lucky here. You wanna aim for the percent armor, it's probably still the best. Even though you can't roll like insane amounts of them anymore, but 4% is like the max that you can get now. If you get physical resistance though, it's also fine, it's not bad. Then we have the Codex of Violent Rifts over here. This one gives us more Chaos damage to Doombolt, another 0.5 second skill recharge to Doombolt, and also less energy cost for Doombolt, which is actually very welcome because we do spam Doombolt so much that we're actually running into energy problems every now and then, a little bit, but for the most part it's fine, like it should be fine. And then the last item, which is also mandatory, Mythical Rift Warp Grasp. This one gives you another 1.5 seconds skill recharge to Doombolt, so whenever you're playing a Doombolt spammer, this one is definitely a must-have. This also adds Chaos damage, and also like the Chaos damage, the flat Chaos damage that gets added by this and by the Grasp, they get converted to Vitality obviously via Mythical Damnation, so that's more damage to our Doombolt. Now the other not so mandatory items here are, for example, the Pestilence of the Dreeg. This is not really mandatory, but it's certainly best in slot for any type of Sentinel that is using either acid or vitality damage. This gives you like a bunch of acid vitality bonuses, +1 Oathkeeper, +1 Occultist, and for vitality it's actually even more awesome. You get a granted skill called Plague of Consumption, and this one even has vitality resistance reduction on it. What I don't like about this spell though is that it is an active, it's not a proc, and it's kinda cluttering my bar. I have like kinda too many debuffs already, but I guess that's maybe the cost, or like that's the punishment that you get for getting such a strong ability on an amulet, like vitality resistance reduction, or like resistance reduction in general on an amulet is pretty damn good, but I still would like them to change this around to be a proc instead of an active ability. That would make things a little bit easier when piloting this build. Now for rings, we have Signet of the Fallen here, and the Void Heart here. Now Signet of the Fallen we're using because it has 15% vitality resistance reduction. Basically the best ring that you can get for vitality builds in general, unless you really need, for example, attack speed, then maybe you don't use this, but yeah, this has the highest amount of resistance reduction on any vitality ring. So, and also it gives you 10% casting speed and 38% chaos resistance. That's also pretty nice. Pretty nice to have. And then we're using Void Heart here. You could also swap around Void Heart for Mythical Curse Bearer, which is like a blue ring that also has a proc that reduces enemy vitality resistance by 10%. So just like this one, it has the same amount of resistance reduction. But in this case, Void Heart gives us +2 to possession. And yeah, since we're using possession, we're not using Path of the Three. This is just very nice. So that's why we're choosing this over Curse Bearer. Also, I didn't really talk about why I chose possession that much yet. So the reason I chose possession over Path of the Three is, so I wasn't able to get Path of the Three higher than, say, maybe 16 out of 12, I think, on this build. So, I mean, maybe you can get a little bit higher. But the thing is, you will end up with, like, maybe, I don't know, another 10 to 15% skill CDR. Like, CDR in general, right? At most, like, probably it's gonna be, like, around 12% or something like that. And what that would do is it would decrease my cooldown from Doombolt from 1.1 to maybe 1 second, right? So on paper, that's like a 10% damage increase, right? But that's not factoring in time dilation. And that's also not factoring in that this one has absorption. So, I mean, okay, this is a little bit more damage, right? This is maybe, at maximum, it's like 10% more damage, if you don't factor in time dilation. But possession is like 20% more absorption. And, I mean, we're playing hardcore here after all. So, I believe, at least for hardcore, I prefer possession over Path of Three. I mean, if you're playing softcore, or if you just like Path of the Three more, you can switch around possession to Path of the Three. Also, you could retake 10 points here and put them like somewhere else if you would like to. And you could also change around this ring, and you could also probably change around these shoulders if you want to. Like, the reason I'm using Razins here is also because of +2 possession. Speaking of Razins, this is going to be the next item I will talk about together with Mythical Clairvoyance Robe here. So there are like also two different options I tried here, like I 3-crafted at least. You could either try Clairvoyance Robe together with Razins, like I'm using right now, to get the +2 Doombolt on Clairvoyance Robe and +2 possession from Razins. Or you could, for example, use Fate Weavers here and like a Doombolt shoulder, a shoulder that gives you bonuses to Doombolt. Or maybe like some other combination that you will come up with, I don't know. For me though, I chose this because Clairvoyance Robe is actually pretty good. I mean, this gives you like a bunch of vitality damage now as well. Or like it always did, probably. And it also has physical resistance, +2 Doombolt. And Razins actually also give you physical resistance, and also HP, and Aether and Chaos resistance, and especially the Chaos is very nice for us. Like, we really need that. So yeah, that's great. And that's why we're using these two. And like, if you take these two into account, like this is 5% physical resistance here, this is 3% physical resistance here, this is like 8% physical resistance from these two. And Fate Weavers usually gives you around 8 to 9% maybe as well. So this is just as much as Fate Weavers would give you. And I believe if you're going to use Doombolt shoulders, like shoulders that give you bonuses to Doombolt, you don't really have physical resistance on those, if I remember correctly, so this is just as much physical resistance as Fate Weavers would be, while also making it possible to hard cap possession, which gives us more % absorption, which is great. Now onto the belt. The belt is actually super good. I would say this is best in slot for sure. I mean, vitality damage, spirit, flat offensive ability, % of offensive ability, casting speed, vulnerability, +1 occultist. This is just insane overall, like across the board. This is perfect for this build. Same thing goes for Eldritch Pact, to be honest, like +1 occultist, vitality damage, HP, just insane. Also the proc kinda helps the build with the low amount of AoE this build has. And for like the offensive version of a build, I think this is great. If you want to be a little bit more defensive, you can go for Serenity Relic here as well. Like Serenity will make you have less AoE, like you won't have the Care Surge ability, but you will have +1 to Oathkeeper, and you will have that proc that can save your life if you ever drop that low. So yeah, that's a good option as well. I like Eldritch Pact and Serenity both here actually. But for me, I think Eldritch Pact fits better. And then we are using these pants here. Merciless Gravity Rules of Protection. Well, I had these in my stash, so I was gonna use them. Because, I mean, they give me +3 Celestial Presence, which basically means 3% more Vitality Resistance reduction. And also of Protection gives me a bunch of DA, and I was kinda lacking DA on this build to be honest, so I chose these to also fix DA. And also to fix a little bit of Poison Resistance actually, I think. Like a little bit of overcap for Poison. We're gonna take a look at resistances after I like buff my character up. And also OA and DA is obviously not the way it should be right now. 2 more items. Mark of Divinity. I honestly just took this for HP and for the +1 maximum all rest to elemental damage or like to elemental resistance, but that's it. Like you can switch around this to anything else if you would like to use anything else. Like you could also use the one that gives you, that has a similar proc but also gives you percent DA instead of the flat HP, right? That's also a very nice one. The one I'm using on my Lightning Mage Hunter, I don't really recall the name right now, but that's also a very, very nice defensive medal. Honestly, maybe I might switch around to that one now, because my HP pool is better than before, and the A is a little bit worse than before, so yeah. Then we also have the Mythical Footpads of the Grey Magi. These are pretty decent. I think I kind of love them now for casters. Whenever you can fit these, they give you, what, Aether resistance, elemental resistance. We don't really care about that too much, to be honest. Like, these are way overcapped, but they're pretty good when it comes to defensive ability. They even give me +1, like +2 vulnerability, which means more DA and vitality resistance reduction. And also, they have this Survival Instincts proc, right? And Survival Instincts gives you 15% physical resistance, 50% of the time, right? 8%, I mean 8 seconds skill recharge and 4 seconds duration. So, on average, you have like 7.5% more physical resistance from these boots, and I think that's pretty good for casters. You could also use Storm Titans here, or like anything else that you would like to use instead. Like probably some insane green boots are better than this, obviously, but yeah, I'm using this for now. Alright, so on to the devotions. I'm gonna show you a Grim Tools of my former setup first, and then show you my, well, updated version. So, I'm using 3 tier 3 devotions here. I'm using Retosh, which is, in my opinion, a must-have for every vitality build ever. This is the only devotion giving you 25% vitality resistance reduction, which is insane. And then also Pierce and Bleed resistance here, some HP, and then some other stuff, which is like mostly vitality damage bonuses. So yeah, that's very great for any vitality build. Then we're using the Dying God devotion over here. Dying God gives us a bunch of offensive ability, a little bit of defensive ability as well, and also like a bunch of vitality damage, and this proc over here, which is honestly insane. Hungering Void. 30% crit damage, 370 vitality damage percent, and also 10% total speed. This is just great on any vitality build as well. So yeah, these are the two that are kind of must-haves. And then I was also using Obelisk of Menhir here, which is like a generally good defensive devotion for like any character, I guess. First note, giving you percent armor. This is not that great for casters, but it's fine. This one, flat DA and flat armor, pretty nice. Flat DA and percent DA, also very nice. This one is useless for our character, but this one is also insane actually. With 30% stun reduction, 30% freeze reduction, and 18% armor absorption. This just frees up so many components and is very helpful, especially in hardcore in my opinion. It's a very nice node, and it's actually worth like wasting 2 nodes, or like investing 2 nodes for this, right? Like wasting the point here to get this. Now, how do we get out of these? We need 8 yellows, 15 blues, and 10 greens, right? And also 8 reds. So let's check out the greens first. 10 greens. So for 10 greens, we're using the Bat Devotion, the Hawk Devotion, and over here the Lotus. So let's talk about the Bat first. Bat is, in my opinion, the best tier 1 devotion right now. It's not even funny how good this is. This is like a bunch of percent vitality damage and also 3% lifesteal here. And then you have this proc, which is honestly insane. You have weapon damage, which can also like heal off weapon damage if you have like flat lifesteal on your character. Vitality damage, a little bit of piercing damage, which we don't really care about. And then like all of this damage also heals. 45% of that heals, so that's also very nice. This is a very nice sustain for like especially vitality builds or those that can convert the pierce or the vitality to their damage type that they're using. So you can also use this on a pierce as well, obviously. But even for builds that cannot do that, you can actually use this just because of the weapon damage to try to heal off the weapon damage alone. So yeah, that is very nice, and I mean in this case it just fits perfectly, right? So we are using this. This gives me 2 reds and 3 greens. So we have 3 greens here, and we have 3 greens from Hawk. Hawk is just not that great while leveling, but it's very good later on, like flat OA, crit damage, and percent OA. It's just very good for 3 points. And then we're using Lotus. Lotus gives us 3 greens and 2 yellows. This is a bunch of energy, HP, percent energy, and actually physical resistance here as well. Now, this node is obviously the best because of the physical resistance, but not only that is great, also the HP and energy is pretty nice as well. And yeah, it's like the energy is very nice for this build as well, right? Like we're spamming so much Doom Bolts that we can run into energy problems every now and then sometimes, but for the most part it's fine, and you will see that later in the gameplay videos as well. But yeah, it's a very nice tier 1 devotion, and in my opinion it's like the best tier 1 devotion that came with Forgotten Gods. It's not only performance wise, but also like design wise, and also because of the affinity that it gives you. It's very unique and very nice, very well designed devotion in my opinion. So we need 6 reds, or like 8 reds in total, right, because of Dying God. So for 8 reds, we're using 2 from Bat, 3 from Jackal, 2 from Viper, and 1 from the Crossroads over here. So Jackal is also pretty nice overall for like any build, to be honest. Percent energy here, offensive ability and total speed here, physical resistance here. Total speed is good for casting and movement speed for us. Energy, again, is actually pretty useful for us because we are using so much energy for Doom Bolts. And 2% physical resistance is, well, it's just good on any build. Right? And then we have the Viper, Cunning Spirit, Energy Leech, which we don't use. We don't have any weapon damage except for Bat, so we can only like leech a little bit of Bat, but that's like whatever. 10% vitality resistance on this one, and then we have 3% offensive ability on this. We're obviously not making use of the elemental resistance reduction, we don't care about that, but Viper is still a good devotion, it's still pretty decent. It also has 3 blues and 2 reds for 4 points, so it's like 5 affinity for 4 points, that's very solid. And then yeah, the 1 point to the Crossroads for the 8 reds. Now we need 15 blues as well. 15 blues we get via, well, 3 from Viper, 5 from Sailor's Guide. Sailor's Guide is also very solid tier 1 devotion. Like if you're starting off and leveling this character, I would probably start off with Bat just to get the levels with this ability. And then like get Sailor's Guide, Jackal, like these 3 are probably the 3 early game devotions you want to have on this build while leveling. Sailor's Guide also gives you 8% movement speed, and 3% physical resistance here. Also some freeze resistance and slow resistance, which is also very hard to get and actually very nice. Now the next ones are the Panther, 4 more blues. This is just offensive ability and crit damage basically. Then the Scarab for physique, armor. This one is useless. This one is bleeding resistance and more armor. And this one is stun reduction, which is also very nice. It's also kind of hard to get sometimes, so having this on a tier 1 devotion is also very good. Scarab is also one of the better new tier 1 devotions in my opinion. But I mean, if you don't like Scarab or Panther, you can use Stag instead of one of them. They're like interchangeable, these 3. Another thing, like whenever you're going for at least 10 blues, you should probably always get Watcher, at least when you're playing hardcore. Like Watcher is insanely good for defense. Probably the best defensive devotion in the entire game, actually. 20 physique, armor, and 18% pierce stress. More flat DA, percent physique, and then 5% DA on this one, and, well, reflect reduction, which is kind of whatever, but the 5% DA is so good here as well. And that's only tier 2, like, the nodes are almost as good as tier 3s. Well, not really, but they're just so good, like, the complete package of this is insane. Yeah, I mean, that's how we get our, actually, 17 blues in total, so 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 5 here, and yeah, 3 over here. And what else we need? We needed the 6 yellows. We get the 6 yellows from Scarab, Lotus, Panther, and Watcher. So yeah, this is my first setup that I did for this character, and I leveled like this up to 100. Did SR35 to 36, and also killed Lokarr on this. So this is perfectly viable for main campaign. I like doing low shards in SR, I guess. And I do think it's still an option to go for even later. But the other setup that I'm gonna show you right now is probably better, and, well, mad props to Nandy for suggesting that one to me in the forums. I mean, I was kind of thinking about Hourglass before that as well, but I chose to not go for it, but Nandy kind of made me rethink that decision and made me go for it after all. So yeah, thank you, Nandy, for showing me how great Hourglass really is. So with a new setup comes a new look, right? So what did I change here? Devotions. I changed around the Obelisk of Men here towards an Hourglass. I mean, that's still level 1 for me, so I will have to play with this character a little bit more to level this up. But yeah, I mean, it should still be very nice. So this will reduce my active cooldowns by 6 seconds every like 20 seconds. And later on, active skill cooldowns by 6 seconds every 16 seconds instead of every 19.8 seconds. So every 16 seconds you will have this effect. Also, I did take out Panther, and I did take away... Like, I did take out Panther, and for Panther I got the eel, right? So we needed 18 blues instead of 15. So we needed more blues, we need more, yes, yellows. So yeah, that's basically the only change I did. Like, took out men here, I got eel, and took out Panther, and I got the Hourglass over here. I still have the Scarab. I told you guys earlier that Scarab is like replaceable with the Stag, or you could also like take Panther instead of Stag now. Depends what you would like to have, right? I mean, Stag has the pierce resistance and movement speed, Panther has the offensive ability, and Scarab has increased armor, the bleeding resistance, and the stun duration, like stun reduction. So yeah, whatever your build needs in that very moment, you should go for that one. So yeah, that's a little bit flexible here. What does that mean for my components? So I had a Titan plating in this one before. You can see the old one over here. And I actually crafted a new one. And I got one with 4% armor. So I crafted like 2 or 3 more actually. And also this has better resistances, right? And actually also 1% more CDR. So this is actually an insane craft for this build. And I put a leathery hide in there because, well, I lost my stun resistance. I had 45 before. I lost 30 and I got like 25 because of this. So in total I only lost 5%. 40% is still kind of low. I'm with Ascension up though, I will have it maxed out. And Ascension will have a better uptime now because of the... Like, time dilation is just very good for this build, right? Not only does it make me able to like double cast Doombot back to back, but also it will reduce the cooldown of Ascension, it will reduce the cooldown of my displacement skill here, and it also will reduce the cooldown of my Dying God over here. So basically this will have 100% uptime now. Ascension will, well, ideally it will have almost 100% uptime for like the first 2 times I'm using it, and after that it will have a little bit less uptime. But yeah, like the first time I will use this, activate time dilation, right, and then I won't have 18.2 seconds carry charge, I will have 12.2 seconds, so I would only have like 2 seconds of downtime where I only have like 40% stun reduction, like stun resistance, and also like my overall average OA should be a little bit higher, even though like the flat OA is like a little bit lower now than before. It's like, I think I lost like 50 OA and like 90, like 100 DA actually. I mean, OLS does give you a shit ton of DA, so. But I think 2.9 is still fine. Also, we can obviously switch around these augments here, like Era's Blood. I'm using double Era's Blood here and 1 Survivor's. But there are certainly other options, like you could go Uzir's Wisdom, Uzir's Temper. There's even one from Mammoth that is pretty good for this build. It has like flat DA as well. Alright, so the one I think is also pretty good for this, that is from Mammoth, is called Arcanum Dust. That one has defensive ability, 35% all damage. So it's a little bit similar to Survivors actually. But it also gives you energy regen and 10% element resistance. We don't really need the element resistance, but I don't know, so I will probably not use it on this build, but maybe, like say you don't have these pants, right, and you have like 30% less element resistance, and then like to overcap these more, wouldn't be that bad. So maybe, or also like you don't need Space Gorge plating here actually, you could use something else here as well. Could get more DA actually here from like using another leather, for example, instead of this. And yeah, then you can use, or like then you would have more incentive to use Arcanum Dust here. And the energy regen actually helps you out a little bit. If we check out the dummy kill time here now, you will see that the change over to time dilation actually also means some energy problems, because being able to spam more Doombolt also means I need more energy. So to sustain that, maybe a little bit more energy regen would be a little bit better. I mean, it still should be fine for like most of the time. But yeah, I mean, well, let's see here our dummy kill time. We're gonna start at 1 minute here. Already see my energy going down pretty rapidly. But I like the double uptime on Ascension. This should make this dummy kill time a little bit better than before. Alright, yeah, it's still around 30 seconds. Which is, well, obviously not the best, but anything that is like around 30 seconds or below is fine for me. It's not top tier by any means, but this build is not meant to be a top tier build. It's meant to be a Doombolt spammer build. But yeah, like a change that I wish that Crate would make actually is to give this Mythical Damnation the same 0.5 seconds carry charge as the Codex of Violent Rifts already has. Because, well, the Mythical Clairvoyant Wand has that as well. And the Bloodsworn Repeater that is used for Chaos builds has that as well. So I don't see why Damnation shouldn't get the same, like the same proc, or I mean the same skill second recharge duration to Doombolt as well, right? It would also kind of help this build with the kill times on like dummy or like other stuff. But yeah, speaking about like killing other stuff, let's check out some other stuff that we can kill. I mean, this build should be able to probably kill a lot actually. I mean, we did kill Lokarr on it. Let's actually do Lokarr first. Alright, so against Lokarr, since this is hardcore, right, just gonna go with the usual safety measures, Flame Drinkers and Royal Jelly stuff. This is super cheap, I mean, there's just no reason why we shouldn't use this. Elixir of the Drangul, I mostly use this, but I'm not gonna use it this time. I mean, it's actually kind of an expensive one, so I'm not gonna... I don't wanna use it for this one here. So since the highest S character death so far was only SR35 to 36, let's actually try 50 to 51 now. What about mutators? Weakened, drained. Okay, leeching. What? Oh, that's actually kind of bad for us. The rest should be fine. I mean, okay, poisonous is good for us. Right. We kind of put a little bit too much there. Yeah, the physical resistance really helps a lot from the boots. I think this cooldown should be reduced by time dilation as well. I'm not quite sure, but I hope so. Alright. Alright, bosses, here we go. Let's see what we got here. We got Bollag. This is the Crimson. I mean, those are not that hard yet. I mean, Bollag kinda hurts. You get hit by him in melee, right? Where are these guys? Muslaki. Alright, let's just try to avoid Muslaki. Should be fine. Actually, frozen here, hold shot. And freeze a little bit. Maybe I should use a whole frost here. Against him actually. Yeah, let's use it. So I don't really see this build performing well against, say, super hard mobs that you get here. So I would certainly not try to go higher than 50 to 51. Because like the main problem with this is I don't have any lifesteal. I only have lifesteal from that and my Blood of the Rig. Like that's a heal, right? And I mean, the time dilation is pretty good for Blood of the Rig as well, because I do get to reset that cooldown as well, so that's pretty nice. And also AoE is a little bit terrible, right? If you like in a level like this. Even with Eldritch Pact, like it's better than it was before Eldritch Pact, but oh boy, it's not that good. And also like the amount of debuffs that you have to press because of the way, for example, this one works, also that you have to use Symbol of Solar to like gain max CPS. Kinda hurts the flow a bit of this build, right? I would like to just run around and spam Doombolt a little bit more than like having to stop every 0.1 seconds to debuff everyone. Yeah, it would be really nice if they change around this to be a proc only. Right. Oh, next fun level, by the way. What do we even do here? I have no idea. Oh well. Something like that, I guess. Oh no, Ekedzal. Harbinger of Ugol. Oh shit. The plants are a little bit annoying here, actually. Oh, there's a Survival Instinct. Those are more boots. They're actually pretty nice. I like them a lot. Oh, did you have 3 fun levels back to back? Alright. This is Gazer Roman level, right? Or Gazerman Prime, whatever he's called. Let's see where he is. These guys actually take forever to kill because of the regenerator in here, right? Okay. We should just skip everyone, right? And just search for Gazerman Prime. Wherever he is. Alright, not over here. Oh no, he is here, actually. Miss Gazemran. Alright, boss level, by the way. Did I even check for my stuff here? No. Alright, I don't have any chargers at least. Who is this? Iron Maiden? Oh, Iron Maiden could be fun. Let's see here. What is this ghost army? What the fuck? Ah, that's Zentarian, right? Probably. No, I don't like him as well. I don't want to fight them next to each other, actually. Got double Iron Maiden on this run. Like one in this level and one before that, actually. She's healing. She obviously was a little bit easier in the non-boss level, but should be able to take her down here. Yeah. It was Igor who spawns all the ghosts, right? Let's try to kill her while Igor is turning. My boss are running out. My potions are running out, I mean. I don't think I need to reply here, and this is just like 2 purple bosses. Not anything too scary. Energy is kinda wrecking me here though. This is where the energy regen I was commenting on it from augments would maybe be helpful actually. Alright, we did it. 50 to 51. Let's cash out. Such a debate, this one. Like, why would you waste a Lotus? Chance of 1 legendary. Like, even if you get 1 legendary, it's not even worth it. The Lotus is so much more expensive. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed 50 to 51 on this character. And also the Lokarr fight. Yeah, hope you like this character. Hope you like the 2 different devotion setups you can go for. And yeah, as I said, like, I think the build is not the best right now. But it's pretty nice that we can make like a Vitality Doombolt at least this good now. And the Mythic combination really needs 0.5 seconds skill recharge. Doombolt in my opinion, or maybe like more flat damage, I don't know. And also this amulet, or like the skill of this amulet, should be a proc and not an active, like with so many things suppressed here, it's kinda annoying. Also, whenever you're in this shop here, check out the Shattered Realm stuff that you can buy and see if you can buy stuff that has 5% physical resistance. This physical resistance is just so good, man. So you wanna buy this and this here. And well, the other ones we don't care about that much. And for these, take whatever you think is good, like high elemental and chaos resistance, for example, could be good. This one could be good. For some builds, maybe high HP could be good. For some, maybe the slow resistance could be good. Like, slow resistance is one of the best stats as well. So you wanna have a good road on that as well, if you can. Now, short conclusion when it comes to which style or like which setup I personally like more. It's kind of hard. I think I probably like the Hourglass a little bit more, but like the main thing that is very nice with the Hourglass is the reset on Blood of Druid and on Ascension. Like, these 2 are so good, and for that, this is very good actually. And the build is probably actually tank here because of Hourglass instead of Obelisk of Men here. For DPS, it doesn't really matter that much, right? It's maybe like 1 second or 2 seconds faster for like dummy kill time, for example. But yeah, feel free to use whichever style you would like to. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me for this build. Thank you very much everyone for watching, and check out my other videos on builds, like my other build highlight videos. And also check out my stream if you have time. Sometime I'm like streaming 3 times a week usually. Mondays, Wednesdays, and like another day of the week most of the time. Check out my Discord if you would like to. You can also ask me questions down in the comments or on Discord. Feel free to give me a like, dislike, whatever you want. Any kind of feedback is appreciated. And also check out the forum post for this build. And it's Grim Tools, obviously, if you would like to play this character as well. Anyways, that's gonna be it for me for this video, and see you guys on the next one.